Live from ABC News headquarters in New York City, it's Wednesday. Good morning, America.
We do say, I'm feeling good. Good morning, America. Oh, but coming back to a very busy morning that we have here.
Very busy morning indeed, Robin. We have a lot of news to get to this morning, including our top story. Rachel Scott is tracking the breaking news on the war with Iran. The dangerous escalation overnight between the U.S. and Iran launching a new round of strikes. And now the big question, is the ceasefire over?
That is the big question, but also we're going to have the latest on the high-rise building here in New York that appeared to be in danger of collapsing. Aaron Katersky is on the scene. You see him there. Crews have been working around the clock. Also ahead, Sam has the story of a hero husky. Her name is Bella. That video right there. Yep. Oh, that black bear got a little too close to her family.
Wow. And but we're going to begin with breaking news overnight. The ceasefire whiplash amid the U.S. and Iran exchanging a new round of strikes. President Trump at the NATO summit of America's allies in Turkey saying this morning in response to a question about the ceasefire, quote, "To me, I think it's over." Senior political correspondent Rachel Scott is on the scene in Turkey tracking these rapid developments. Good morning, Rachel.
Michael, good morning to you. And this is breaking news from here in Turkey. Just moments ago, President Trump said the ceasefire with Iran is now over, calling into question the future of these negotiations and whether America will fully be brought back into this war. This morning, President Trump declaring the deal he signed with Iran just 3 weeks ago is now dead, calling the negotiations a waste of time.
To me, I think it's over. I don't want to deal with them anymore. They're scum. You know what scum is? They're scum. They're sick people. They're led by sick people.
Overnight, Iran and the U.S. trading fire. Tehran launching attacks across the region, targeting U.S. military sites in Bahrain and Kuwait. Just hours earlier, the U.S. hitting over 80 targets. These videos posted online showing the explosions. Thick clouds of smoke seen billowing into the night sky. A U.S. official telling ABC News those strikes were meant to send a powerful message to Iran after they targeted 3 commercial ships in the Strait of Hormuz.
We hit them very hard last night, very hard. I would say 20-1, 20 times tougher.
The president meeting with his advisors on the sidelines of NATO, giving the go to target Iranian air defense and coastal surveillance systems, missile and drone launch sites, and port facilities. The Pentagon says 60 Iranian small boats were also hit. This morning, oil prices rising as the president casts doubt on future negotiations.
Now, I'll let our wonderful negotiators keep talking if they want, but I don't see it.
And he continued to blast NATO allies who refused to help with the war he waged in the Middle East.
I'm not happy with NATO because of the fact that they didn't want to help us with the #1 state sponsor of terror, that's Iran. They were unwilling to help us.
So our NATO allies were hoping to turn President Trump's focus back to another world conflict, the war between Russia and Ukraine. The president meeting with Ukrainian President Zelensky here in Turkey today. But all of that has been overshadowed by these late breaking developments. As for Iran, well, they put out a statement saying they will not be bullied or extorted, saying, quote, "We will not fold." Robin, this conflict is far from over.
Far from over, Rachel. Thank you for staying on top of it for us. We're going to turn now to the urgent work going on right now to shore up a high-rise building here in New York to keep it from possibly collapsing. A structural column buckling in the 37th floor building, making it unstable. Chief Investigative Correspondent Aaron Katersky is there on the scene for us. Good morning, Aaron.
And good morning to you, Robin. That emergency work to stabilize this building began overnight. Some of the street closures and evacuations have been lifted, but for other nearby buildings, it's still dangerous. This morning, the rush to stabilize a building under construction in Midtown Manhattan after support columns buckled, sparking fears of a catastrophic collapse.
We have columns partially down on 21 and 22, and we have floors sagging between 21 and 26.
The first call came just before 8 a.m. Tuesday for bricks falling from the building. Workmen noticed the buckled columns, multiple cracks, and the floors beginning to sag. This video, obtained by ABC News, shows some of the warped metal.
We have some 40-year members on that job who have never seen an I-beam bend in half.
That's not supposed to happen.
No, that's not supposed to happen.
Construction workers evacuated, then neighboring buildings, including 2 hotels, offices, and a school, emptied. Streets around the building shut down, bumper-to-bumper traffic stretched for blocks. For a time, the compromised building appeared to lean.
The way this building is constructed, it's a steel frame building, so it would not be a total collapse. It would be more of a localized collapse, but that remains our concern, that it's moving.
The building, formerly the headquarters of the pharmaceutical giant Pfizer, is being converted into apartments. It's the largest such conversion in city history. The developer said the columns likely bent under the weight of additional floors added to the East Side high-rise.
Once the immediate stabilization occurs, they have to look at the other columns around it and see if they're prone to the same thing happening. They're probably going to shore more than just the failed column. They should shore everything above to the best they can. It's easier said than done. This is a very tricky situation.
In the last year, the building has logged 7 violations, from unsafe building demolition to debris falling from high heights, resulting in more than $32,000 in fines. Overnight, workmen installed new steel columns and expressed confidence the building is no longer at risk of imminent collapse, but it is not yet fully stable, Robin. Once it is, they'll determine how those columns failed and a long-term fix.
Yeah,
Robin?
A lot of people want answers to that. You're right about that. Aaron, thank you. Now, the extreme heat for millions in the southeast and southwest, with temperatures that feel well above 100 degrees. Ginger has that for us. Wow.
It's the time of year when people are like, come on, it's summer, it's July. But you tell somebody in Savannah who's about to feel like it's 116 that it is July. And that is why it's a dangerous level. And that's why the National Weather Service puts out heat warnings. But we start with the video and the pictures of the storms that were in part fueled by this extreme heat. This was in South Carolina. There was a person trapped in here as that tree came down. They went to the hospital. Thankfully, they're okay. Myrtle Beach, big time lightning strikes, and that's one of the places in extreme heat warning today. You extend it to Charleston, up to Wilmington. Those extreme heat areas with the magenta could see the 110 to 116. That's where it's dangerous. Then the heat advisories just south of Raleigh, down into North Florida, even into Miami and Port St. Lucie. The feels likes aren't going to get much better, and you go out west, it's not the humidity, it's just full-on heat, and you're going to see the heat there too, Michael.
Yeah, it's hot out there, Ginger, everywhere. All right, thank you so much for that. We're going to go now to the growing pressure on Democrat Graham Plattner to drop out of the Maine Senate race after a woman accused him of sexual assault. Plattner is being urged to step aside in a critical race for Democrats, hoping to take control of the Senate. Jay O'Brien is tracking the latest from Washington. Good morning, Jay.
Michael, good morning to you. Graham Plattner is still in the race as of right now, but his campaign now confirming it's discussed a possible exit strategy with Democratic leaders in that state, and that already leading to a clash.
In a race that could decide control of Congress this morning, Maine Democrat Graham Plattner's campaign collapsing around him, setting off a scramble to try to replace him on the ballot after an allegation of sexual assault by an ex-girlfriend, which he denies.
I looked at him and I remember this very specific look in his eyes, and I could smell alcohol, and I was like, this is different.
And this morning, several state Democrats now jockeying to take Plattner's place and challenge Maine's longtime GOP Senator Susan Collins. Under Maine law, Plattner has just 5 days to drop out to be removed from the ballot. State Democrats would then have 2 weeks to select a new candidate, but there's no exact roadmap for how that process would go. Overnight, the executive director of the Democratic Party of Maine saying Plattner's team has reached out, accusing them of trying to dictate the next steps.
Unfortunately, Graham Plattner's team has repeatedly reached out to us in an attempt to put their thumb on the scale of what this process looks like. We have repeatedly reiterated to Graham Plattner's team that they have no role in determining our next Democratic nominee.
Plattner's campaign confirms they have reached out to the party but deny trying to influence what comes next, saying in a statement, quote, while Graham Plattner wouldn't want to be part of the process, he would want to make sure the voters and volunteers make this decision, not the political establishment. It comes as Democrats are abandoning the embattled candidate, more than 20 senators calling on him to drop out. Plattner's biggest supporter, Senator Bernie Sanders, now saying he spoke with the candidate yesterday, and in light of these very serious allegations, I have recommended that he step aside. Other key progressive voices like New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani also calling for Plattner to drop out.
I think the focus of today should be to respond to the gravity of what so many of us have read, and I think that the only appropriate response is for the campaign to come to an end.
Plattner strongly denying the sexual assault allegation, but saying he's reassessing his campaign.
Regardless of the inaccuracy of the reporting, but mindful of the political reality it will inflict. We are taking the time to reflect on the best path forward.
And again, a sense of the stakes here. Any possible path for Democrats taking back the Senate almost certainly runs through Maine. Susan Collins is the only Republican senator this year defending a seat in a state that Donald Trump lost in 2024. Robin.
A lot of eyes on Maine. All right, JR, thanks to you. Now to the wildfires raging across much of Europe. Thousands of residents have been forced to evacuate. Maggie Rulli is tracking the latest.
This morning, record wildfires raging across southern Europe, burning more than double the seasonal average. Parts of France topping 100 degrees again, as the third heat wave of the summer is bringing devastatingly high temps across the region. 850 firefighters from around the country now battling flames in the hardest hit areas. One volunteer killed. Water bombers and helicopters now fighting the flames, as thousands of residents forced to flee their homes. The Tour de France even banning spectators along parts of the race. In Spain, ground teams working into the night earlier this week. Hundreds of firefighters in Portugal battling a fire that's burned through nearly 2,500 acres since last week.
And some of these fires are now more under control, but officials in France are calling the current fire danger there a situation of unprecedented scale. And guys, this current heat wave in Europe is expected to last almost 2 weeks. Guys.
Yeah, the heat wave is not helping that situation. Thank you, Maggie. And now to breaking news. More than 4,000 nurses and home care clinicians walking off the job in Boston. There you have the latest on this. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you, Michael. So this might be the biggest nurses strike in Massachusetts history, and it is now underway. Just minutes ago, 4,000 nurses at Brigham and Women's Hospital walked off the job, and in under an hour, 450 home care clinicians will follow that lead with a separate strike. The union is asking for higher raises to offset the cost of living, more affordable health insurance choices, and for hospitals to hire more permanent staff instead of temporary travel nurses. Brigham and Women's Hospital countering that their nurses are already among the highest compensated in the market, saying the union's demand would result in total nursing compensation costs accounting for nearly 50% of all BWH labor costs, illustrating the significant financial impact of the proposal on the hospital's overall operating budget. Massachusetts governor, senators, and Boston's mayor urging both sides to find a solution, saying the possibility that patient care could be impacted is deeply concerning to the communities we represent. Brigham and Women's Hospital says it will remain open with skilled temporary nursing staff providing necessary care. Michael.
Wow. I mean, that's tough right there. Yeah. I'm just hoping it all gets worked out. Yes. You have a lot of patients out there, and obviously you want the nurses taken care of as well.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you.
To yet another example of dog being man's best friend. In this case, a little boy, the family dog, chasing a charging bear away from a 6-year-old. And Sam, you have the incredible story.
It is a happy story, Michael. It ends happy anyway. All right, good morning. The boy's father says he and his family and the bear's family have coexisted in this neighborhood for a while now. There has never been a confrontation quite like this one. We spoke to them. Bella the husky was right by their side through it all, including our interview.
This is the surprising moment. A young black bear makes a beeline for a 6-year-old Connecticut boy. But his dog Bella races to the rescue. This Ring camera video capturing Colton Tazara just playing in the front yard on July 4th.
I'm playing with my Nerf blaster.
His dad, Jeff, just in the garage loading the car.
I heard Bella let out like a vicious bark, and I hadn't heard her bark like that before. By the time I turned around, it was Colton standing in front of me and the bear running in Colton's direction.
It didn't get me because I ran fast inside.
The 11-year-old husky intercepting the bear, then chasing it off into the woods.
I knew I saw Bella bite the bear because I saw the white skin under the bear's fur.
Jeff says the cub is likely part of a family of bears that have been hanging around the neighborhood for the past year, rummaging through trash.
And they know a lot of people leave their garbage cans unlocked, and they just know there's a free meal in there.
Both Colton and Bella were unharmed in the close call.
Oh, come on. Yeah. How do you reward a loyal pet that rushes in the nick of time? Well, they plan to give Bella her favorite, it's a T-bone steak.
Yeah, well deserved.
Several. Should be several.
Yeah, thank you, Sam.